So the whole purpose of Christian marriage is to be yoked and to help lighten the load of the journey called life into the kingdom. And along that journey, we know beyond the shadow of a doubt, there will be ups, downs, lefts, rights. There'll be hardships and turmoil and heartaches. But being yoked and then united mystically into one.
Father, I am so grateful that you said yes to this interview and for you taking the time out. We just adore you. Polidoros and I adore you, Presbytera, your whole family, this whole community. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I thank you, Stephanie, for your kind invitation to be on a podcast with you. It's a great joy for me to always spend time with you, and especially when we're talking about our faith and the things, in our hearts, and especially marriage, and especially a life in Christ. All those things bring me, as you know very well, a lot of joy. So it's really a pleasure to be with you and to hear you and to learn from you, because I know you think of this as a one way, but it's a two-way. So I'm sure I'll learn.
This is why I love you, because you're just you're so sincere, and I think that's so refreshing.
I try to be real.
Yeah.
So much of our world today, as you know, there's a lot of fakeness. And it's not to say that I don't have my own struggles and my own weaknesses and my own setbacks or whatever the case may be. But definitely, I think people are tired of words. Everyone's talking. I remember I was on Mount Athos once, and we were talking to one of the elders, and he said, everyone talks about humility, but nobody's humble. Everyone talks about prayer, but nobody's praying. Everyone talks about the Bible, but nobody reads it. And it's kind of like that's the kind of society. If people are tired of just words, they want to probably see more, as one saint said, preach the gospel wherever you go. And if you need to, use words.
To live it.
Your life should be a reflection of what you are inside, right? So, not saying, and that's a bad example for me, right? I'm just doing my best, all of us, I think. All right. And I think that's a beauty too, is just do your best. If you do your best, then God does the rest, God will take you in places and send you where you never would have thought, And I can tell you straight up that I never thought I would be, in Brookville in Holy Resurrection, right? It was the last thing. It was many, many years as a deacon, and I said, for sure my life will go this way, that way. But sure enough, God has a different plan for all of us, and here I am.
I love it.
So,
if you do your best, God will do the rest. I'm going to print that out and put it on the kitchen, the fridge in the kitchen. What a great, you're always so full of wonderful pearls of wisdom. And we just love this church, especially because we baptize both children. You baptize both children at this church. And we have just been so embraced by the community here. And we are part of the Seeds of Love ministry here, just the marriage ministry.
Absolutely.
And
you are my aces.
And I specifically love hearing you speak about marriage, Orthodox Christian marriage, because like you said, you and Presbytera are just so real, and it's so refreshing to see that, because marriage is beautiful. It's also hard, and everything in between, right?
Sure.
But you touched a little bit upon your journey to the priesthood. Tell us a little bit about that background.
So I actually don't remember a time in my life when I did not want to be a priest. Believe it or not, I didn't have I always say this, I didn't have a vision. I didn't see a light. I didn't have some profound experience that altered my life forever. Not at all. I just grew up in a home where, church was a non-negotiable. As you hear me say a lot in church, like Sunday worship, non-negotiable. We need to be in church with our Heavenly Father every Sunday. So from a young age, I can tell you, even from as young as like 5 years old, I remember saying, I'm going to be a priest. I'm going to be a priest. Wow. Much of that, I believe, has to do with the way my father raised us. And then in the summers, we were going to Greece. And my first cousin's a priest who's older. So I had exposure to, services. We visited Mount Athos. I can remember probably around 10 or 12 years old. That was like very, profound in itself, just seeing all these religious sites, venerating so many relics. And then Meteora, which is another kind of monastic community, more south, central Greece, I guess. All of that kind of subtotaled into just, affirming even more in my heart that that's what. But again, I didn't have like a calling. I want to be clear on that. I didn't have
Yeah.
something. It's just so naturally I went there. My father, though, at some point said, look, you should try to study something else. You should try to have something else. And that's kind of what sparked in me. I liked science a lot.
Mhm.
So I finished a biology degree
Mm.
at Fairfield University. I double majored in religious studies, and it's a Jesuit school. And then, after that, I went straight into seminary. So when I was a teenager, at the age of 17, and Presitera was at 15, it's kind of like the first time we met. And we met where? In church, of course.
Oh.
And I can tell you that right away I kind of felt that the Lord had brought someone into my life. I didn't do the dating scene and things like that. It just wasn't, I wasn't interested, frankly. But something special happened, I can say. And then with God's grace, we became best friends. It
Wow.
wasn't, again, it wasn't any life altering, occasion and this kind of thing. We became best friends. I got engaged in college and then went to seminary. And then in 2000, I got married. So it was a journey, and we've been together obviously ever since. And I know, and then when I speak to young adults, especially about marriage and meeting somebody, they're kind of like, "Wow, Father, you met your high school sweetheart." We went to different high schools, but we
Mm.
met in church, and I know that that's not the norm.
Right.
I really understand that our young adults are struggling with a whole bunch of things,
Yeah.
which are very difficult, and the pressures that they feel from society, from social media, and from
Mm.
all these other platforms can become very daunting to kind of find somebody and to speak about your faith and to speak about who and what you believe. So, in a nutshell, yeah, that journey. And then I went to seminary,
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of give you the full picture here.
Yeah.
I went to seminary for 3 years and did a Master's of Divinity at Holy Cross
Wow.
in Brookline, Massachusetts. And then the last year of my studies, Presbytera and I had thought about going to Greece, and that was eclipsed by an invitation from the Archdiocese to serve as a deacon.
Wow.
So I went to the Archdiocese for almost 20 years,
Wow.
uh, walked around the globe quite a bit, following the Archbishop. I was with Archbishop Demetrius, and then for 19 years, and then 5 months with Archbishop Elpidoforos, who was very gracious to me. He said, just pick where you want to go and don't worry about anything. And then how God's providence works, Father Andreas was made chancellor. There was
Yes.
an opening here, and the rest, is history. The Archbishop felt this would be a good fit. And by God's grace, I've been here 7 years now.
I can't believe
Yeah, I
it.
can't believe it either. Life is
That's
flying.
wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, because you know how we were brought to this church is during COVID.
COVID.
Someone had shared, I think my Gumbada Emily had shared video of the service. And so we would watch it and then we would listen to you speak. And me and Bolivaros are like, we gotta meet this guy. We gotta go to this church. And then we came to the one of the first seeds of love.
Right.
And then of course just the community here is so wonderful. Such a faithful, like God-fearing group, which is so beautiful.
And it's a good marriage, as I say.
Yes.
The community has a desire, a thirst to increase, their love for God. They will work for that.
Yeah.
Meaning, ministries such like Seeds of Love, which you and Polidoros have been there from the beginning, from the inception. And that kind of evolved just because of COVID. There were all these couples that were going to get married but didn't get married. We're like, we got to still minister to these young people. And so that kind of blossomed. And honestly, I think it's one of the most beautiful ministries we have here. Because if there's any threat as I look out into the world for the next, we're celebrating our 50 years this year.
Yeah.
In 2026, I look into the future and I see one of the greatest threats is going to be, in general, how a man will meet a woman, in particular, the threats against our family and what we understand as a church to be a Christian family, and our young people understanding what love is,
Right.
what love is not, right? Kind of helping them have clarity against what social media and media and TV and movies are promoting, and then
Yeah.
kind of telling them, well, there's this really good food over here. If you want to eat from this, you won't want to eat anything else again. So, yeah, I'm really happy with my community. I'm very blessed. I have an excellent team of co-workers that are very Christ-centered.
Yeah.
And I tell them, Stephanie, honestly, I tell them, the greatest threat will be when we lose sight of Jesus. As soon as we lose sight of why we're here and what we're doing, and then we're in trouble. And that goes to, again, an experience on Mount Athos. I visit there every year. When one of the abbots was telling me about the new monks that come in, and they're always like have all these thousands of questions and temptations. And he always has them make Greek coffee. And they're like, but Elder, make a Greek coffee. And he watches them. And he keeps an eye, and he sees that as soon as it starts to boil, the Greek coffee, the briki, that little pot thing that they use to make Greek coffees, if you take your eye off it, in 1 second, it boils over. So he uses that as a metaphor. Whenever they get rattled or distracted, he goes to briki, meaning keep your eye on Christ.
Yes.
As soon as you lose sight of Christ, everything boils over. And I can talk a lot about that in marriage.
Yeah.
But we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I want you to do your job. I talk a lot. As you know.
I am here for it. I want to hear all the wisdom, and I think it's a good point in that the world tells us do what feels good, right?
Correct.
And that's so not the way we should be living our lives. You're going to have no peace doing that.
Exactly.
We have to do what Christ tells us to do. We have to follow him. And one of the beautiful things is the Orthodox marriage ceremony, in that it's all about Christ. Isn't that amazing? So that's my first question for you. When a man and a woman stand before the altar in the Orthodox Church, what's happening spiritually in that moment? And how does that shape their marriage long term? What would you say to that?
Thank you for the question, because I think that's a really good question, a basic kind of like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
From the beginning of the service, you can see how the church so beautifully, let's say, orients you or positions you, if you will.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I'm meeting with interfaith couples, they didn't get the memo that there's no vows. We don't have vows in our church, right? And I tell them the word in Greek, syzygos, for spouse, is such a really meaningful word, which means zygos is the yoke.
Yeah.
So syzygos is the co-yoke. And we know from you've probably heard as well, that when you are yoked to someone, the purpose of the yoke is to lighten the load.
Right.
Right. So there's a nice image there of marriage being a lightening of the load of life. We can let off some of the weight and have someone share that with us.
Can you explain what the yoke is? Because you just did that at Seeds of Love, and I thought that was so with animals.
So you have in the old country, they would take the ox, right, and they would put a yoke on two of them, and the purpose of the yoke was to keep them plowing in a straight line.
Right.
As soon as one of the ox would pull, it would choke the other ox, and then it's vice versa. And so the concept is that when you're yoked to your spouse, the church on the day of your wedding orients you next to each other, right? And where do they have you facing, Stephanie? Christ. Into the kingdom of heaven. So your journey, right, orientation wise, is we put you facing into the kingdom. We co-yoke you. Don't pull, because if you start pulling towards the materialistic world, the selfish world, the pride world, you're going to start choking your spouse. And tell me if that's not exactly what happens in marriages.
1,000%.
Why do couples divorce? There's no other reason that couples divorce except for pride.
Right.
There is, notwithstanding, God forbid, domestic violence and drug abuse and those things. I want to be clear to our listeners, I'm not insensitive to that, of course. But at the essence, when bickering begins, cold shoulders move in, when distancing and resentment building, what's at play? Okay, there's no drug abuse, there's no physical abuse, there's pride. Somewhere in that relationship, a little worm has come in and begins to eat away at the love bond, right? So the church says, I want you walking into the kingdom. We situate you that way. We got your eyes on the briki, which is Jesus Christ, right? We yoke you together and something mystical happens. We say that in the church.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of marriage? How many times I've asked couples, Stephanie, so why are you getting married in the church? And they're like, oh, we love each other, Father. Oh, okay. Well, you love each other now, don't you? Yeah. Well, we really, we really want to commit to each other now. Okay, but you're living together. So it's like, what's going on? Right? Or we really want to start we have a kid already. So why are you getting married in the church? What's the purpose of you getting married in the church? And we know from our theology and from everything we talk about, it's salvation.
Yeah.
And you see that right at the beginning of the wedding service, for the servant of God, Polidoros, and the handmaiden of God, Stephanie, and for their salvation.
Yeah.
Let us pray to the Lord. That's what it's all about. So the whole purpose of Christian marriage is to be yoked and to help lighten the load of the journey called life into the kingdom. And along that journey, we know beyond the shadow of a doubt, there will be ups, downs, lefts, rights. There'll be hardships and turmoil and heartaches. But being yoked and then united mystically into one, that's another beautiful moment in the marriage service. I can't remember where I read it, but the idea of the dance of Isaiah that we do the 3 times, right? Why would we sing Isaiah is dancing at a marriage service? Like, what place does that have? The virgin gives birth and he's dancing. I remember reading an interpretation, and please feel free to correct me, friends who are listening, but it had said that Isaiah could not understand that, let's say, a virgin could give birth. He prophesied that, right? And this brought him unbelievable joy, right, as seeing the fulfillment of that in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay. Isaiah dances again at the marriage service in the Orthodox Church. Why? Because once again, the Holy Spirit has done the unbelievable, the inconceivable, the impossible, that 2 people can come into a church at the beginning of the service and through the grace and power of the Holy Spirit be united into one.
Yeah.
And witnessing yet again this unbelievable miracle, Isaiah dances. I read it somewhere, I don't remember, and I really like that because
I love it.
that's the profound thing we don't understand when we come into this church. These prayers that we read and the priest rattles off and talks about this and that, uniting that couple into one spirit, which then leads into one body.
Yeah.
Right? And I tell my young people, don't put your shoe on and then try to put your sock on. Right? They all know how to have sex. Forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm unfiltered here.
Right.
They all know how to be intimate, but they don't know how to have the intimacy of soul. They don't have the intimacy of emotion.
Yes.
And that's where all the important things are.
And that's the scary part, because you have to be really vulnerable, right? And that's the beauty too that you mentioned before, just about, if you want to understand Orthodox marriage, if you study the Orthodox wedding ceremony, it will teach you all you really need to know, which is, and more, right? Which is so beautiful. And you talked about pride too, and that's really hit home for me with many of the seeds of love, just you talking about pride, because that's a pitfall I can fall into. And someone once told me that in the middle of the word pride, what is there? I. And it's a struggle though, to have to put aside your pride and just lower yourself sometimes and be
100%.
humble, right?
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
And let me say this too, Stephanie, since you talked about pride. I always say, marriage does not create problems and it doesn't fix problems. It simply reveals them.
Yeah.
So when you're a person who has hidden pride inside of you, right? Marriage didn't create that reaction to your spouse.
Mm.
Actually, all marriages do is precipitating that out, is revealing that out.
Yeah, it enhances
that, you
it.
know what?
Yeah.
I'm not as spectacular as I think I am. I'm not as spectacular. Boy, I have a big ego.
Yeah.
And so the number one cause of divorce in my mind is pride. It's the secret poison that poisons the love bond, the well of love that you both share with your spouse. What happens? Pride starts to sow itself out. What's pride? Pride is forgetting God,
Mm.
right? I mean,
Right.
if you think about it,
Right.
Satan, the most Lucifer, the most luminous of all the angels, is rendered Satan through what? Pride.
Mm-hmm.
Pride renders you in that condition. And the way home, the way back to intimacy of soul and body, right? The way
Yeah.
home is humility.
Yeah.
When a couple can be humble, when one outdoes the other in humility, that's when pride does this, humility does this, right?
Mm.
And that's what I was telling some guy. He came to the office and he was saying, you know, Father, I love my wife. I go, yeah? Why you love her? Oh, she meets my needs, Father. She takes care of my kids. She's there for me when I'm down. You know, when I need stuff, she's. And I said to him, my friend, what you just described to me, I go, no offense, forgive me, is an icon of hell. He looked at me, his eyes opened up. He said, why do you say that, Father? I said, because that's all self-directed.
Right.
That's all, it's all about you. That's pride,
Yeah.
you know? And he's like, whoa. I go, what do you feel for her? Everything you described is all about you.
Mm.
And that's why when I talk to young adults, a lot of time, they confuse love and lust.
Right.
Lust, right, is my needs, my wants, the way I want it. I want it now. I want it
Yeah.
from you here and now. Okay. I said, so that's lust.
Right.
Love is this emptying of how can I serve you? What will make you happy? How can I be offering even more to you
Yeah.
to help you? And it's a subtle, it's harder for young adults to understand that.
Yeah.
You know, she's, you know, I love her to death. Why do you love her to death? Is it what she can provide for you or he can provide for you? Or what kind of status it gives you to have a pretty girl and a not so pretty girl? Is it, you know, the box that all of us want to stand on? I always use this image too. You know, all of us want to stand on a box because the box gives us an existence and people have to know that I exist. So, you know, I'm going to stand on this box and here I am, world. And some want a big box so they can really be seen. And others, you know, so is your girlfriend, your boyfriend part of that box?
Right.
I am good because I have a girlfriend or a boyfriend and I'm beautiful and I'm worth something because somebody wants to be with me.
Mm.
Like maybe this is too analytical, but you begin to see how people's thinking is shaped
Yeah.
based on how they kind of act when it comes to a relationship.
Absolutely.
You know,
And I think to sum it up, I mean, is the secret to a healthy marriage humility?
it sure is.
Probably, right?
Sure is.
And talking about young adults, do you think that compatibility is overrated? What are your thoughts on that?
If I can use an anecdotal story from my
Yeah.
own life,
Yeah.
you know, I ask my young adults all the time, what are you looking for?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? Define what you want in a spouse,
Yeah.
in a future spouse. You know, so they'll say, I want this. I want them to be thoughtful, caring, emotionally present. I want them to be good looking. I want them to be
Right.
taking care of themselves, you know, eating right,
Right.
not being abusive. And I always tell them, write all those things down on a piece of paper. And they write them down. And now put your name at the top. Because I said, if you're not those things yourself, how do you expect someone else to be that for you?
Yeah.
Right? So that's a little exercise we do with Goyans. But this idea of compatibility, Stephanie, if we go 50 years back in time,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, your probably grandparents' generation and my parents' grandparents' generation, the word did not exist. Right?
Right.
I'm not saying that's right. What I am
Right.
saying is, how did they figure it out?
Mm.
Even though a lot of times they were arranged marriages are not so
Right.
lovable, right? Humility.
Yeah.
And not only, but I would add to that, for our intentions of this conversation, an anecdotal story, like I said, of me and Prestera. We were bickering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, priests bicker too, by the way.
I love hearing this. I just love it because it's like it's real. We're all going through it.
You know, I am not spectacular, right? So we were in a moment of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You know, and by the way, couples know exactly where to throw the dart,
Yeah.
where it hurts the most.
Mm-hmm.
Tac, you know. So he says to me, "Babe, sit down." She says something so simple, so profound,
Mm.
which goes to compatibility. She said, "Love, if I love Jesus and you love Jesus, we'll be okay." And it goes to the image of the
Yes.
couple being yoked, co-yoked.
Equally yoked.
If I'm walking towards Jesus and you're walking towards Jesus, we're going to be okay. And many of you listeners, and Stephanie, I brought it up, the idea of Saint Dorotheos of Gaza,
Mm-hmm.
that image of a circle,
Yeah.
right? You have a circle, and in the middle is God, and you and Polydoros are on the outer circle.
Mm-hmm.
As you move closer to that center, what happens to the distance between you?
Right.
Gets closer. So I tell my couples, you know, to be in love, in essence, in the deepest sense, the way God intended it to be from the beginning, is to be in full communion, to be living inside of God. That's why when couples come to me that are homicidal, I'll say to them, "How's your prayer life?" They're like, "What does that have to do with it?"
Right.
It has everything to do, because the more you're focused with God and the more Polydros is focused with God, inevitably, it's impossible that you can become at odds with each other.
It's so true.
And it's with our kids too.
Yes.
It's the same applies. My reaction to my children reflects more of what's going on inside of me.
Yeah.
And if I lost sight of the briki, if I have my eyes on the briki, then my reaction here will be different than if I've lost sight of God.
Yeah.
Right? And it happens in marriages. We know that.
Yeah.
I don't want to beat a dead horse.
No.
The moment we lose sight of Jesus is the moment my pride sets in and I begin to push my spouse away. And the way home is finding Christ and being humble.
Amen. Christ is the glue, basically.
Sure.
He is.
He is.
And even just getting into church, like, I think that's hard for a lot of people. And you were the one, and Polydorus always credits this with you, of saying, make church non-negotiable. And he really spearheaded that for our family, and it's been a blessing. And I think for people who haven't come in, that can be right where you start. Just get into church, be in his grace, be in his goodness, you know?
Absolutely, Stephanie. And there's power in that.
Yes.
You know, when one of the greatest techniques of the sneaky one is to isolate you and then to insulate you. And by that I mean you get isolated, like, well, I have young kids.
Right.
I can't really go to church now.
It's too much.
I understand. Of course, we had kids too, and you know, you manage that in whatever way works for you. Maybe it's only a half hour a Sunday in the beginning when they're young, and da, 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 da. But he isolates you. Well, people look at me. People are getting angry at me. My kids are loud, and you know, they make noise, and so everyone's snaring at me. So now he's beginning to push the agenda of you can't go there.
Right.
Then he insulates you. Well, nobody understands me. You know, people try to talk to me. They don't get it. So now I've isolated myself. I've insulated myself from everyone else around me.
Yeah.
Now I'm an easy target. And so, yeah, when you just say church on Sunday, non-negotiable, we're going to go to church. Half hour, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, 45 minutes.
Right.
It is what it is. And I really, I thought of it too with the Knicks.
Yeah. I love it.
Right? Watching the game at home.
Yeah.
In your living room on mute to drive the idea home, and watching it at a watch party at Garvey's Point where everyone was going crazy.
Yeah.
The energy, the electricity of that.
The community.
The power of community.
Yeah.
You know, saying your prayers in your back room at night versus being here on Sunday and greeting your brother and sister, embracing them, kids yelling, walking out, walking back in, another mom's baby, newborn being 40-day blessed, you know, a new couple that just got married, all of that. And I've said it before. I mean, sit home, watch golf on Sunday morning and come to worship. You will leave worship something better than watching golf all morning.
Amen to that. Oh my goodness. Now you mentioned Pride definitely being like a common trap for couples. Is there any other big ones that you see?
I would say the number one poison in the love bond is pride.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've observed. My couples that come in a distressful kind of place in their marriage,
Yeah.
somebody's holding onto unresolved hurt. And anger is three things, Stephanie: fear, frustration, or hurt
Mm,
that has not been addressed, or all three of them.
yeah.
So another kind of threat, I would say, I have two threats that I want to put on the table. One threat is definitely unresolved hurt,
Yeah.
unaddressed kind of
Yeah.
stuff, you know. And forgive me if I go out of bounds here, but it could be we were out and you decided to sit on the other couch. You didn't come and sit next to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so you let it slide. And you let slide that every morning he leaves without giving me a kiss. You let that, but inside now you're getting frustrated. You have hurt there, and then what happens? You get angry and you snap. And it's like, what's going on? Why are you so angry? Well, if you don't address the elephant in the room,
Yeah.
which is like, I don't want you leaving for work without greeting me. It bothers me. Or I don't want to go out and you're always sitting at the furthest chair from me. I want you to sit next to me.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm laughing because I'm just thinking about sometimes you don't know that those things are bothering you necessarily, but they are in the back of your head.
correct.
And if you have a spouse who's in tune with you, like recently we left an event and we're in the car and I'm just like, I was annoyed at a couple of things he said and did, and I'm like, I'm just gonna let it go. So I'm sitting there, he's driving the car and he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, everything's fine. No, I could tell. You have a lot of thoughts in your head.
Yes.
And I was like, well, what really bothered me? I had to like
Oh,
take a step
that's a good
back.
step. That's a very good.
And
Keep
I'm like,
going.
what really bothered me? And ultimately I'm like, well, it's me. It's my pride. It's me wanting to control everything he says. He's his own person. I have to embrace that. I married this man because he's an outgoing, wonderful man, right?
Right.
And I can't control everything he says, but he didn't say anything wrong. It was just, I guess, certain things in his delivery. Am I going to be nitpicky and nag? And I was like, I'm just trying to sit here and let it go. And he's like, talk to me. I want to hear. Tell me how I can do better.
Right. How
But it's
beautiful.
funny how this is always how it is. Even if something is bothering me, let's say with work or maybe something with the kids, I have trouble verbalizing it or pinpointing what's bothering me. He'll notice immediately and he'll say, we'll talk about it. And then once I start talking about it, then I might start break down and cry because I'm like,
Right.
wow, this has really been upsetting me, but I'm moving so fast that I haven't stopped to think about, wow, this is really affecting me. And ultimately, what helps is to speak with him and to bring it back to Christ and to know that Christ, he cares for us. He always is there for us. Look at the birds, all these different things, right? So many beautiful Bible verses that just show his care for us is above and beyond.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I really like what you said because I've used it with couples. I'll say,
Yeah.
what's really bothering you?
Yeah.
Articulate it, put it down, speak it out. Like, what is at the core of why you're reacting this way?
Yeah.
So you go out, and you notice your spouse is talking to this person, right? Why are you upset?
Mm.
What is really upsetting you here?
Yeah.
And that's okay. Every feeling is okay. It has to be addressed.
Right.
And many times, places will say, I'm so embarrassed to tell you this, right? Or I'll say to her, babe, it's not easy for me to just say what I'm going to say,
Right.
and it's 90% of the time totally ridiculous and
Right.
ungrounded.
Right.
But that's how the sneaky ones. So
Yes.
unresolved stuff, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
That stuff can really come back to bite you if you don't resolve it and get it out. And it's like what I say a lot of times in confession. You don't take out your garbage, what happens to your
Yeah.
house? Starts
Stinks.
stinking up.
Yeah.
Everything starts stinking up. After a few days, you got to get it out. And I've witnessed, Stephanie, a lot with unresolved hurt from childhood. Adults coming, bawling their eyes. Their parents have been dead for 20 years, and they still hold on to that childhood hurt that my dad called me fat. And I can't get over that. Like
Yeah.
I never could look at myself again in the mirror the way a normal, nonchalant kid would.
Yeah.
I hold on to that comment, so there's 60 and 70-year-olds now confessing things that happened when they were 10 and 12, right?
Right.
So unresolved hurt. The third thing I would say, so pride, I would say unresolved stuff. You gotta that can eat at your marriage big time.
Yeah.
And then the third thing I would say is routine.
Yes.
We go to work, we come home, we have dinner, we go to sleep, we go get up the next day, we go to work,
Yeah.
we come home, we go to sleep, whatever it is.
No
I can
time
add
for
I
each
can
other.
add more things into that equation. You can use your imagination.
Yeah.
This kind of routine. So, one of the things that we've been talking a lot about in Seeds of Love is fun.
Yeah.
Right? Creating opportunities. When was the last time you had fun with your family? When was the last time you played a board game? Board games are absolutely epic in creating an atmosphere of fun and connectivity and competition. Right? So having routine. If you wrote a love note when you were first dating Polidoros, I highly recommend you continue to write your love notes.
Yeah.
If he would pinch your backside every time you walk by, I highly recommend he continues to pinch you every time you walk by. If you used to sit on his lap and watch a movie, I highly recommend you continue to sit on each other's lap. Don't let the routine of life eat away at those really cute things that you and your spouse did that made you two very much in sync and special and attentive to one another's needs, right? Because those are the things that make you and Polidoro. But Esther and I will have other things we do. You will have your own little things that you do. Yeah. He always used to buy me a rose every Monday. He hasn't bought one in 28 years. Well, that's not a good thing, right? Because that was his way of expressing love, and that goes to a whole other conversation of how you accept and receive love.
Right.
That's a whole. I don't know if you want to go down that path, but finding what really speaks to the love language. This is a book that I read. The love language, 5 languages of love. Finding that love language of your spouse is so epic.
For sure.
In creating that really high energy flowing love bond between the two of you.
Yeah.
So routine is a dangerous thing that I see.
Absolutely. I like bring the playful back,
Absolutely.
And you also make me think it's also very important to be intentional about the love language of your spouse and how you deliver something to your spouse. And is your delivery going to hurt them in any way? And the reason why I bring this up is because recently, I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, we got into a big fight over Marcos's haircut. Okay, so he's busy. He likes to take Marcos for their haircut, though. That's like their boy thing. They like to do that together.
Okay.
And I'm like, Marcos looks like a mushroom. His hair is so long. We got to get it cut. And so weeks are going by, and I know in the back of his head, he has it on his to-do list. I see it on his desk, okay? And I know it's bothering him that he can't bring Marco, okay, for the haircut. And it's a Sunday after church. We got a lot going on. And I was like, are you going to bring him for the haircut now? And he's like, I don't have enough time. And I'm like, okay, I'll just take him. And that really made him upset. It made him feel like a failure. Right. And it was also because of my tone and my delivery. I didn't mean it like that. But it just made me think in the back of my head, you know what? What's the worst case scenario? Marco goes another couple days with long hair. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
For me to disturb the peace of our marriage over something so stupid. This is the thing, is that I find, and you mentioned it, it's these little things.
Oh, yeah.
And the problem is it's like a ball of hay. As it keeps rolling and rolling, it can become massive, and then it can become out of control. So it's catching all the little foxes, I guess.
Frustrated.
Yeah.
You are frustrated that he didn't get a haircut, and now you're angry.
Yes.
Anger is 3 things: fear, frustration, and hurt. So there it is, right in front of you. And, like we said earlier, having that ability to speak that out loud, what's really bothering you?
Yeah.
And so for him to then say, and I know probably to some of our listeners, and definitely like my parents, this would all mean like, what is this stuff? But the truth of the matter is, that's how sensitive God made our souls.
Yeah.
It's a feminine, it's sensitive. And these sensitivities, when I do believe there's an element that Stephanie Sassos needs to work through her sensitivities, right?
Sure.
That's part of our growth in Christ, and Christ gives us help, for sure. But on the opposite side too, we need to address these things, because then they do come back to bite us. And it's so subtle, Stephanie.
Yeah.
It's so subtle.
Yeah. And
So
that's
sorry.
also like me respecting their time and relinquishing control of the kids don't have to look perfect all the time. It's okay. They're healthy, they're safe, that's all that matters.
You said the word 3 times, I believe, so far. Control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you
No,
tell?
no, no, normally, my experience has been females have
Yeah.
more struggle with things being exactly the way they want them.
Right.
And us guys are like, what's the big deal? You know, come is here, laugh. You don't have to go right every time, you know, whatever the case. Yeah.
Exactly.
But again, the man being sensitive to that,
Yeah.
you know, and being attentive to that component of their spouse
Yeah.
out of love for Jesus will help them manage that, you know.
Yeah.
Always lead with Christ. That's a good rule of thumb. I say that even in my spiritual encounters with people who are struggling with different things. I always try to just say a little prayer.
Yeah.
You know, Lord, give me prudence. Lord,
Mm.
give me wisdom. Lord, give me patience. Help me understand. Help me see what I'm not seeing. Whenever we keep our eye on the briki and put Christ at the
Yeah.
beginning of everything, then things will definitely be better, even in our marriages, even in our communication with our kids. And by the way, I read a statistic 90% of marital issues
Yeah.
evolve from tone. If I say to you, let's say, you know, you're looking at your phone, and I say to you, get off your phone. What's the matter with you?
Mm.
Every time I see you, you're on your phone. But if I say to you, sweetheart, when you're done, I just need 2 minutes. I want to just talk to you about
Right.
something. So I said the same thing in two radically different ways, and I'll get two absolutely radical different results. I can assure you, because it's the second I pull up my gun and say, "What's the matter with?" You're gonna go and pull up your gun, and now
Right.
it's over. So tone in marriage is fall.
What great insight.
You know, what you're
Such
gonna
great
say, how
insight.
you're gonna say, where you're gonna say it.
Yeah.
If you speak about this incident, you know, Bodilos didn't compliment me, you know, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, Presidera didn't, you know, compliment me, and I tell 15 people, and she's standing right there, it's game over.
Right.
I lost it. You
Right.
know, but if I can restrain that temptation and say, but and when you try to put Christ into the center of your marriage, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
3 people get married, as we say.
Mm-hmm.
You, Polidoros,
Yeah.
it's a three-legged stool. It's what Elder Milanos used to say, Christ leads the marriage.
Yes.
He's the one who, with your hands that are, you're connected to your spouse during the service, and with your free hands, the priest takes your hands and holds the gospel book.
Right.
It's Christ who is walking you in this journey called life
Yeah.
around the table. You know, it's just the unending, the everlasting. Doesn't have a beginning or an end, this kind of dance. And it's a martyrdom. We don't
Amen.
sing holy martyrs. And what's going to martyr, Stephanie? What's going to martyr?
Mm.
Your pride.
Yeah.
So in your marriage with Polidoros, that moment of I'm going to pounce him because he didn't get the haircut, right, is eclipsed.
Right.
As a martyr, you martyr your pride, you martyr yourself, your will. It's not my will be done with Polidoros.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning of your salvation.
Right.
So in marriage, in the mystical way, you wear the crowns of martyrdom in what we call a lefko martyrium, meaning a white martyrdom. There's no shedding of blood,
Right.
right? But it's the martyrdom of your pride and your ego and who you think Stephanie should be and how she should be. I cut and cut and cut and go deeper in the barrel,
Yeah.
all the way to the bottom. And that's where I finally set myself free. And I say, I no longer live for myself, but I live for you. Why? Because I have Christ living in me.
Yeah.
And show me one instance in the entire New Testament where Christ did something for himself. He was the complete, humble outpouring, emptied himself, as St. Paul will tell us,
Yeah.
completely, completely. And that's marriage. And my all-star couples, like yourself, are the ones who are working at that emptying, the
Right.
full emptying, out of love for my spouse. And I love what you said. I'm not here to control.
Mm-hmm.
I have to respect and love my spouse just the way they are.
Just the way they are.
Just like you love your kids,
Right.
just the way they are. Let me ask you a question. I'm interviewing you. Tell me the last time God interfered with your life and said, "What are you doing? Are you crazy? Stop that."
Right.
Never.
Never.
That's how is a good image for us to be with our spouses.
Yeah. And the only person we can change is ourselves. I can't change him. I love him the way he is. I genuinely do.
I know. Of course.
But I love all the parts of him, right? And I think it's been illuminating this conversation in particular in that marriage does enhance, the beautiful things about you, but also perhaps the things that
Reveals.
need work.
Exposes.
Yeah. And there's a lot of things there.
I have a lot of work to do. Stephanie, trust me. I immediately know when my pride pokes its head out. And I observe how hurtful it is to push it.
Right.
It crushes her.
Right.
That's the ugliness of the face of pride.
Yeah.
You see, that's the ugliness of the sneaky one.
Yeah.
When he gets in our marriages. So if you're in an ugly marriage, don't attack your spouse. Don't tell them what they are.
Yeah.
You're a jerk. You are selfish. Tell them what they could be. Tell them, I know the man I loved in there. I know the woman I fell in love with. Yeah. This is not us. We can do better. This is not reflective of who we are, sweetheart. We're in a moment right now in a storm.
I love that.
But the storms get tired and the storms pass.
Yes.
And we, with the help of God, will get through this storm and learn more about each other and grow from this, become better captains of our ship, be more mindful of the pitfalls of an open sea where we can be, vulnerable and get hurt, and hopefully gain experience and grow. Yeah. You are not the same woman you were 10 years ago.
No.
With Polidoros.
Definitely not.
Me neither.
Definitely not.
So nothing grows fast, Stephanie. It's like a tree. Our relationships, our love for God, our growth in the spiritual life, it's a slow, slow process. But God is guiding it. And that maybe that's one of the last things I want to say.
Yeah.
We should never, ever, ever allow ourselves to be convinced that we are alone in our marriage. It goes back to that idea of isolation and insulation. My wife just doesn't get me. This is just not working. Don't ever fall into that pitfall. Always be mindful that God is with you, number one, and that God uses people to speak to you.
Yeah.
So, community, to go back to that idea, being in the watch party, your small group, your small community, that Seeds of Love ministry, whatever it may be, and however anyone else is doing it, that is where I can go and in these conversations and this sharing of our hearts can give some encouragement to people who may feel all alone. You're not alone. Every marriage has its challenges, its storms, its ups and downs, its moments of pride and reconciliation. All of us. And it's work, like you said. Yeah. It takes work. And there's beauty in that. Because tell me anything that's worth it that doesn't take work. Everything that's worth it in life takes work and commitment and perseverance. And so.
And it's a blessing to have the work, right? It's a blessing to be a part of that work with your spouse. Father, this has been such a blessing. I really feel I've learned so much in this conversation with you. And just thank you very much for everything.
You're very kind in your words of encouragement. I hope and pray that you continue this ministry.
Thank you.
And to share with people our hearts so that, they're not alone. And maybe we can give a word or a phrase of encouragement to all the listeners to continue on the path. If you're met with resistance, you're doing great. It shows that, somebody doesn't like what you're doing, which means you're doing the work of God. Right. And keep at it. And, we're here to help in any way we can, the people.
Amen. Thank you, Father.
God bless you.